Dolores Kid Explorer here, and today I am going to reveal my Barbados trip expenses. Okay, so I'm going to give you a breakdown of all of my expenses from my travel to Barbados in November 2024. So let's get into today's video. And before we do, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It is free for you to do so. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Now let's get into this trip breakdown so you can prepare and budget for your upcoming trip to Barbados. So for each section in this video, I'm going to tell you the cost of each section, what it included, and if I can, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can reduce that cost. And at the very end, you're going to get the total of my entire trip to Barbados. Mind you, everything will be in US dollars. So let's get into the flight. So mind you, the cost for the flight and my stay accommodations were included because I booked a Delta vacation package, which I'll talk about Delta vacations in a future video. And mind you, I am looking at my notes because I can't remember the cost of everything off the top of my head, but the flight and the accommodation together cost $2,974.49. That it was for 4 nights, 5 days in Barbados. And I flew on Delta Airlines with just main cabin. I have medallion status on Delta, so I was upgraded to Delta Comfort on the way there, and then on the way back, since it is a Caribbean country, I was upgraded to first class. Mind you, I booked the Delta vacation package because one, I've never booked one before, so I wanted to see how it worked. Booking Delta vacation packages helps you get medallion qualification dollars, which that's a whole different topic, in order to keep your status. With the flight, I flew from Atlanta to Barbados, Bridgetown, Barbados. They had just reinstated their daily route between Atlanta and Bridgetown. It was a direct flight. I didn't know until like the end of the trip, but the transportation once I arrived in Barbados to my resort was actually included, and the return was included in the Delta vacation package, which they did not really notify that. So I ended up paying extra for my taxi to the hotel, but I didn't have to pay on the way back. Some quick things to save. So I did save $200 off top because I had some gift cards from my employer that from an award, so I was able to use that. But you can also save if you don't have gift cards. You can save one by not flying with Delta. Delta is a more expensive airline. There are other airlines that go into Barbados. Making sure you're flying in the off season if you want to risk it during hurricane season, but we know that it can be risky. You can use your miles to fly if you have some. You can use credit card points and transfer it to an airline. You can also track to see if you can find a deal with going on the flight price. So those are some different ways to help you save on the flight cost. Now for the accommodation that was included in that cost that I told you about, I stayed at the Hilton Barbados Resort. The resort itself was a little old and outdated in a way when you looked at the exterior, the architecture there, but they did have multiple pools. It was right on a beach, and that beach was more like high waves intensity, but if you went across the street, there was Pebble Beach, and it was nice and calm. There was conference rooms there, so if you're having an event or maybe you're there for work, there's conference rooms right on site. There are 4 restaurants on site. There is a fort that the Hilton was built on, so you can see a little bit of history while you're there as well. The rooms were nice. My room overlooked the ocean, which was great. It was just a typical room. It didn't look outdated or anything, but it got super cold in the room. Oh, and also there's ATM in there, a coffee shop, a like convenience store, a jewelry store. And there also was people there that would help you get taxis. At the concierge, there was constant taxis there, and the staff was just really great to work with. So definitely a great experience at the hotel, and the location was great. I was depending on what tour I went on, I was easily the last pickup because it was close by, and since it was close to other things, it didn't cost that much for me to get there, or I could actually walk there instead of getting transportation. So some pros of the resort is that you could spend time at the resort if you didn't want to go out, you just want to relax. When I first got there, I just relaxed at the hotel. I didn't feel like going out. And also the staff was really helpful. I forgot my phone charger at home. They actually tried to find someone who had an iPhone that was still working to give me a charger. And obviously they all left for the day, of course, but they were able to get me a taxi and send me to a place called iMart so I could get a phone charger for myself. So that was very helpful. Like I said, it's close and convenient to a lot of different things, because I ran into people who were staying in the completely other side of the island where they had to transit to everything. Oh, also for a pro, they do have a lovely spa and a workout facility there, so that's great. Some cons, like I said, it could be if you're someone who's like, I need to be in the most modern hotel. It's a little bit outdated when you look at some of the architecture. They were doing some construction while I was there, some renovations, so that might be nice. Also for the cons, really wasn't really much else unless it's too costly for you, because it is a resort and they have all these different things. So it may be a little more costly than some other places that you could stay. So next up on the list of costs is food and drinks. This totaled for me $274.05. I ate out for every single meal, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And mind you, I didn't always have like a breakfast or a full hearty breakfast, because I just can't eat breakfast in the morning. All the places I ate at were mid-range restaurants. I didn't go to high-end restaurants. I didn't go to fast food. So just kind of your middle of the road restaurants. And I also went to plenty of the hotel restaurants. Some things about restaurants, I definitely highly recommend that you eat at Cuz Cafe, which is near the Hilton. It's just a food stand. It's very popular. So you may encounter a line when you go or a wait when you go, but it was very affordable and they had some delicious fish sandwiches. So that's definitely my recommendation. And also make sure you try out Oistins. I went to Pat's, which one of my drivers recommended to me at Oistins. It was one of the food stands there. So if you go out to Oistins, try to go to Pat's, get the flying fish. It's très magnifique. Also, you can save money on food and drinks. One, you do not have to buy alcoholic drinks. That's obviously will save you. I had quite a few while I was there, quite a few cocktails. If you don't have alcoholic drinks, you just drink water, soda, you're good. Try not to eat at the hotel restaurants. Those can be a little bit more costly at times. Also, if you can, try booking tours that includes food in the tour, which I did 2 activities where food was included, which was not included in this food cost, but in my activities cost, which I'll talk about, I think, next. And that was included there. So I didn't even have to worry about food for that day or during that time, because it was provided by the tour. Lastly, if you end up staying somewhere where you have a kitchen, obviously you can save money by cooking food as well. Okay, let's get into the fun part, the activities and excursions. So that ran me $457. So what did this include? I went on a walking food tour. Like I mentioned, food was included in the tour, so I didn't have to pay for an extra meal that day because it was included. I had history, I got to see Bridgetown, all of that. That cost $122, and we went to 6 places and they gave a lot of food. Like it was almost 5 different meals with a dessert, okay? And I went on a catamaran cruise with Tiami, which was $110. It was a sunset cruise, and again, this included food. We had a dinner with it, so I didn't have to worry about dinner for that meal. I also went on a rum tour, went to 2 different rum distilleries, had I think at least 5 rum tastings at each location, as well as a tour of each of the distilleries, which cost $95. Went to the Barbados Museum in their historical society. Get some history, some learning about the island, which I feel is important. I try to do that everywhere I go. That was $10. And mind you, I'm rounding this. There's some cents on some of these. I went on a full island tour, which was amazing. I was able to go to different parishes, see different landscapes, see different parts of the island that I would not have been able to do on my own, because I don't like driving when I go out of the country or on vacation, period. So that was that was $120. I also did yoga, which was included at the hotel, no additional fee. And then I also went to see the racehorses get into the ocean for their bathing at Pebbles Beach, and that was free as well. I would say 2 don't miss activities. I feel like a lot of these activities are don't miss, but if you want a free activity, don't miss, definitely go to see the racehorses at Pebbles Beach. Happens from 5:30 to 7:30 every day. So definitely go out the earlier the better, because closer to the end, horses start going back to the stable, and it's free. Nice, and you get to go on the beach and enjoy the beach. Another great activity that I say do not miss is definitely going on the rum tour. Rum originated in Barbados, so you want to go and check out the rum and taste the rum there. So definitely recommend doing that. If you do not like rum, you can always go on the food tour, which is my second. It's almost tied for 2 in second place, but definitely go on the food tour because you get to try traditional and local food from Barbados, as well as learn more about Bridgetown. Next up, let's run down the cost of transportation. This is an approximate cost because I did use cash in some of my taxis. So that's something you need to know, which I wish I would have remembered this from my other video, but you want to make sure you have cash on hand, Barbadian dollars, because some of the taxis I got in did not take card, okay? So you want to have cash available, and I just know how much cash I took out. I know I used cash for some of the taxis, but I don't remember how much I used for the taxis or for other things. So that's why this is an approximate cost. So I just approximated it at $162. I used taxis if I was not walking for all of my transportation. The taxis were always waiting at the hotel, and the hotel would go out and arrange the taxi for me and the rate. And all the time they would either wait for me or they would give me their card phone number so I could call them to have them come back and pick me up. So just a tip, if you want to save money on transportation, obviously if you stay in an area that you can easily walk around, do that. You can always rent a car so you can get to the different areas and not have to pay for each thing that you're, each ride that you're going on. They do have a bus system. I don't know anything about it. It did not necessarily, well, I could have walked up the road a little bit to catch the bus, but it didn't come right by my hotel. So you can catch the bus. That should save you money as well. Okay, and the last category is other expenses. So that includes taxes, the cash that with the transportation, like I said, I couldn't really track all that, but taxes, travel insurance, the phone charger I had to buy, souvenirs, extra cash that I have left over that I save as I guess that's a souvenir as well. That cost me $242.17. The travel insurance was $76.21. Now, mind you, you must have travel insurance when you travel. I don't know why some people have not learned after 2020 that you need travel insurance. And the travel insurance needs to cover health coverage, because if you go somewhere and you hurt yourself, you get sick with COVID or whatever it is, or something even worse where you need to be flown back home or something, you need to have the coverage, because they're not going to just accept your health insurance card. They won't want you to pay cash up front, and you're going to have to submit your medical expenses to the insurance afterwards. But if you don't have that insurance, you won't even get reimbursed for it. I also paid $63.19 on souvenirs. This is just the actual physical tangible souvenirs, not the cash, because I don't know how much cash I had left over. And then miscellaneous things was $102.77. So that includes the charger. If the transportation tally is wrong, that might be in there. Taxes at the hotel when I checked out, the levy fees and all of that. So that's other expenses. Okay, so in total for this trip, I spent $4,110.55. And by the day cost, if we do not include the flight and the hotel stay accommodations and travel insurance, because those are the things that you will book ahead of time, it would be $211.97 per day. So remember, I said it was there 5 days, 4 nights. And that's about how much I spent based on the information that I gave you with the mid-range restaurants, the activities I did. That is how much you should look at approximately spending when you go to Barbados. Is about $211 a day. With that said, Barbados can be expensive. Barbados is an island in the Caribbean, and it's not a big country, but a beautiful, wonderful country. And they do have their own things there in the island. But mind you, there's a lot of things that get imported from larger countries like the US and other countries. So it gets imported into Barbados, which makes things go up because of customs and duties and all of those different fees to get that stuff in the island. So you may pay, you should expect to pay more for things that you would normally pay for a lower cost back at home. To kind of help with your budget and bring that down, that flight cost or that per day cost, you definitely want to start planning in advance to help you budget your money. Set some money aside, but you can also focus on free activities. You can rent a car so you don't have to pay for a tour to take you around the island. You can drive yourself to all those different things. And you can watch that video to kind of see some of the places we went to because it was free to go there except for a few things. You also should try traveling in the off season because that means not many tourists are there. They're going to bring down the prices a little bit. So those are some things to help you lower this total cost or lower your per day cost while you're there in Barbados. So in conclusion, explorers, I talked to you about my total expenses. I revealed how much I spent to go to Barbados. For some, that may be a lot. For some, maybe like, oh, that's on the low end. It all depends on your perspective, where you're from, and what you like. Some people like luxury, some people like budget, whatever. But this is what I gave you. You know what I did in Barbados. You know how much I spent and what I looked to. I gave you some tips along the way to kind of help you lower that spend if you would like. If you don't, if you want to spend more and have more luxury, go for it. But the world is your oyster, okay? So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. It is free for you to do so and helps me provide more and better content to you in the future. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and social media networks so they can learn how much it may cost them for a trip to Barbados. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever in the world you are. Bye.